I'm your announcer, Artie Intel, and this is a special PVI edition of the Sal and Rich Show. As you listen to the sound of Georgie Girl playing, we have our own Georgie Girl with us today, Georgianne Kloss. Georgianne is a graduate of the class of 1970 from Paul Sixth High School in Haddonfield, New Jersey. This October, Georgianne is being inducted into the Paul VI Hall of Fame for her continuing support of the school since 1970. Georgianne, congratulations and well-deserved, and welcome to the show. Sal and Rich, push the button and start the show.
Welcome, Georgianne.
Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. This is quite an honor.
Well, it's well deserved from what I understand from people over at Paul VI.
Well, it's nice to hear.
Go ahead, Georgianne.
Oh, I remembered the day that I got the phone call from Gabriella, and I just couldn't even speak. Even when I think about it now, it's overwhelming. Quite an honor.
Yeah, it really is. Congratulations. We've had Bruno Cacciabone on. You know Bruno? Bruno is also going to be inducted.
I've met him over the years.
Yeah, he's a great cheerleader for the high school. Who's the other one that's being nominated, Rich? I can't remember.
Mike Bush.
That's it, Mike. How could I forget Mike Bush?
How did you forget that one? We pushed that one.
Yeah. It was funny when we had our reunion. We were chatting with Mike's wife, Joyce, and it was just one of those things that we were shocked that he had not been recognized for his athletic abilities, everything he did for the football team, and he's one of those guys that's right up there with Mike Chapman. And so we had a big push. Right. We had people, send in their notes and vote for Mike, and thank God it all worked out. So we're happy that Mike is going to be a part of that group of inductees in October. Should be fun.
Yeah, it'll be good to see him again too. It'll be good to see everybody.
Yeah, and then
so what have you past 52 years? You're getting this award, so you've been a constant supporter of PVI. So what are some of the things that you do?
Well, after I graduated from Paul VI, I went to Glassboro State College and graduated with a bachelor's in communications education. It was a very new department that they had opened when I was a sophomore, and they actually went around to different English classes and different classes and tried to get people to commit to this department. And it was communications, liberal arts, which would have been more public relations and things like that. But there was also communications education. And so I had to decide which road I was going to take. And I thought, well, I didn't necessarily want to be a teacher, didn't plan to be a teacher, but I thought at least I'll have a certification in something. And after I graduated, I actually had a job interview with ARCO over in Philadelphia when ARCO had a large office in Philadelphia. So I interviewed for that but decided to go the education route. So I got all my letters of application out to almost every single school in the Colonial Conference, Camden County, and Burlington County, because Burlington County was really developing. That was starting to explode. And so I applied to the Lenape Regional High School District. And in fact, going back, I actually did my student teaching at Paul VI. Oh, wow. So I was there in 1974. Yep, I was there for the semester in 1974. And but there wasn't an opening. There were no English openings when I graduated, so I had to look elsewhere for a job. So I got picked up by the Lenape Regional High School District, Shawnee High School in particular, and I stayed there for 38 years. Oh. And so I retired in 2012 after 38 years. And what did I do? I threw myself into my work. I always do. So basically, and it was 20 miles each way to Shawnee and back from Haddon Heights. I stayed in Haddon Heights. And so I would literally just sleep in Haddon Heights, and then I was right back to the high school. We started very, very early. Back in those days, in 1974, they used one contingent of buses to bus Shawnee in, and then they would tear over to Lenape and bus them all in.
Okay.
And then they would get all the other special schools. So we started at the crack of dawn. I used to be on the road about 5:30, 5:45 every morning.
Wow.
And then I coached basketball. Yep, I coached basketball. I coached track and field for years. And I would just drag myself home, 6, 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And sometimes later, once the girls' basketball games got, the same rights as the boys, we used to play in the afternoon. Then they started at 7 o'clock at night. So you're talking about 5 o'clock in the morning until 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it was a long 38 years, I'll tell you.
It's a long day.
Yeah, it's a long day. So I taught English. I was in the English department for 18 years, and I taught a class called Mass Media. And I really enjoyed doing that. So we did little units on advertising, TV, radio, popular music, popular film, popular literature, et cetera, et cetera. It was a semesterized elective at the time. And then I started going back to taking graduate school classes. I got a couple extra degrees, to move up on the pay scale and move over a few places. And then I went into the child study team for another 20 years. I was a learning disabilities teacher consultant. So I would test kids for learning disabilities and case manage kids. So I did that until I retired.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were busy.
I
So
was
you
busy.
mentioned-
Yeah.
Georgianne, you mentioned
But
track.
then once I retired, yes,
You mentioned track and field. Were you on track and field in Paul 6?
I went out for the track team after basketball. I think I was a junior. And I went out for the track team for one day. And that was all I lasted. These girls, and as you know, because their picture is up on your Facebook page.
Yep.
And these girls, you're talking about the Rannenbergers, you're talking about Marianne O'Brien, you're talking about, all of them that made up that team back then. I don't know why I thought I was ever going to be able to keep up with them. So I did a couple races, a couple warm-ups with them. And I was just lucky I survived. Those girls were fast, they were strong, and there was no place for me on that track team, believe me.
You mentioned Rannenberg.
So that was my one day at track and field. But then my father got me interested in officiating. So and then I coached at coached at Shawnee High School for a number of years. I did the throwing events and the jumping events on the girls' team. And then when I retired from that, I officiated for a number of years at all the track meets in the area.
Yeah,
track and field official.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Anything for money. Anything for money. To pay my mortgage. That's what I would do. Anything for money. And back then, they would when they would pay the officials, the athletic director would come out, with a money envelope, and he would hand you your $20 or your $25, whatever you got for officiating the meet, and I'd jam it in my pocket, run home, stick it in my underwear drawer, and that where I had all my little envelopes to pay all my bills.
That's great. Did you do 4 years at Paul 6?
Yes.
The class of 69 didn't do.
They're 3 years. I'll tell you what, the class of 69, I guess they get enough credit. I was going to say they don't get enough credit, but I want to give them plenty of credit for just being brave enough to transfer in your freshman year to another high school. I'm sure that there were many of them who were established at Gloucester Catholic and Camden Catholic, St. Joe's in Camden, maybe Bishop Busis, I'm sure, St. Mary of the Angels Academy. Maybe there were a few down in St. James, Carney's Point. I can't remember, but boy, I think that really took guts, a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid to transfer to a brand new high school.
Yeah.
So when you walked into Paul VI, it was a brand new school.
It was brand new, 1966. Yep. We were the first 4-year graduating class. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And
one thing you just said in your opening statement there, you finally got your rights as girls.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yes, because we most of our games, all of our games were played at 3:30 in the afternoon, and the boys would play at night.
Yeah.
And then once the legislation went through, we moved to JV would play at 5:30, and then girls would come in, varsity would come in at 7 o'clock. Yeah, so parents would come to the games. My father used to sneak out of RCA and drive over to Paul VI to watch our basketball games. But there are a lot of parents that didn't.
You said your dad worked at RCA in Cherry Hill or Morristown?
He was at both. My father was with Ballistic Missile Early Warning System, BMUS.
Yep.
And he traveled the world with not only with Ballistic Missile Early Warning System, but also with demonstrating television at different World's Fairs. He was at the World's Fair in New York. He was in Chicago. He was across the ocean. I have photographs of him with nationalities and places. Japan, he was in Japan, demonstrating early television back in the late 30s, early 40s.
Did he ever go to Kwajalein? Did he ever go to Kwajalein?
Go where?
Kwajalein Island. Was he there? Right in the middle of the Pacific?
I'm not aware of that. Not aware of that. But I do remember BMUS had the big golf balls. Remember in Morristown, the big golf balls with the big microwave dishes in the middle, and they were that was the radar that would supposedly pick up on if Russia ever wanted to attack the United States.
Right.
We had BMUS was in Clear, Alaska. It was in Morristown. It was in Thule, Greenland, and it was in Scarborough, England. And those were basically, towards his later years when he was with BMUS, that was where he would hang out when he would travel for months. He'd be gone for months.
Sal,
And yeah. So.
do you think we just gave away state secrets on our podcast?
Well, I'll tell you what, when we used to have the air raid drills at St. Rose, and we would, get down and have to go into the boys' room, in the basement of St. Rose and get down and, protect ourselves. I remember coming home a little alarmed, and he sat there with a piece of paper, drew the northern continent on a piece of paper, and just showed me and my brother exactly, how we were protected in the event of a nuclear attack.
The reason
I had the line on that before everybody.
Yeah. The reason I pursued this line of questioning is that I worked at RCA right after I graduated college. I worked at Morristown, and my mother worked there, and she worked on the Aegis program. And she was administrative assistant. She was doing all the typing of the documents. And one day she said to me, I graduated and there was a recession and it was hard to find a job. So she said, Sal, they have this program where you come in and they'll train you for 6 months and usually it leads to a full-time job. So I took a chance, went in, and I started working on what they call the backplane wiring for the radar system, the new radar system they developed. Then eventually they taught me how to program software. And I programmed software to test out the Aegis system. And I was there for 7 years, and it went all the way through the life cycle of actually going down to Mississippi, where they built that new cruiser, the Ticonderoga. Put it on we put the radar system and all the software together down there, and then we went out and tested in the Gulf.
How about that?
So that's how my career started. And my whole career was government IT. So that's funny that you mentioned your father worked at RCA.
Yeah.
Small world. And that Bemuse
Oh
system
yeah,
is
yeah. Well,
what eventually became the baseline for Reagan's Star Wars. So that was the baseline. Bemuse, they broadened it for
oh
worldwide.
boy,
Yeah. So it's interesting how these things evolved.
I know, I know. Very interesting.
What do you do now with Paul Six?
Well, I guess I'm a Paul Revere type of character. When I see things that are posted, Donna Camardo, and when I see things that are posted about Paul Six, I try to spread the word, and I'll repost them on my Facebook page and try to get people motivated, try to get people interested in back interested in their high school again. And also, I think it's a wonderful place. I think Paul Six and St. Rose are both wonderful places, wonderful schools to get an education, and I want to promote that. Through my Facebook page and the people that happen to go through Facebook and see that they just do wonderful things, and I just want to shout out to people that school is available, and what a wonderful education your child would get, if they would enroll there. And it's interesting how things are changing, due to, I guess, politics or society. I'm sure St. Rose and Paul Six, they probably have to. I know St. Rose, they have to turn people away. And
Really?
it's a shame what's happening in the public, what's happening in the public school systems. It's a shame, but parents just don't want their kids exposed to certain things. And the way to get around that and get a good education is private school. So it's funny how things work.
Yeah.
I know somebody who works at a public school system right now, and her daughter is going to St. Rose.
Yeah.
Because they love what's happened with the new principal over there at St. Rose. And
Deacon Joe Rafferty is the principal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're extremely impressed with what this guy's doing. Yeah. And Sal and I had the chance last year to go over to Paul Six, went for the, I would call it the dollar tour given by Gabrielle McCluskey. And we were just amazed how that school has changed. And she was amazed because we said, oh, there's the smoking section. I thought she was going to pass out. Then we showed her, like, they used to put the sawdust on the gym floor for the high-lit Jerry Bladder, or I guess it was high-lit Dr. Don Rose dances and stuff like that. Yeah. But I will tell you that when I was in there 2 years ago, I was just amazed. In the middle of July, all these kids coming in for extra classes, and they were happy to be at Paul VI in the summertime. Back when we went, we counted the days down until June 2nd. But the place has really changed.
It really has, and it is beautiful. It is. You could eat off the floors. It is gorgeous. It is painted beautifully. It is clean. It is spotless. It's light. There's plenty of sunlight. It's just what they've done is gorgeous. And you forget that building's older than it's more than 50 years old now, and you would never know it. You would never know it.
My niece just graduated last week, and we were at a party, and my wife was talking to, I guess, 4 or 5 of the other graduates. They said it was the best experience they had going to Paul Six. They loved it. It just amazes me, really.
And everybody who writes the check, everybody that donates, every dollar counts, and that's another thing that I want them to know when I try to spread the word over Facebook or in different social media venues. I try to tell them that every penny counts, and this is your alma mater. Right. And I just hope that I make a contribution that way. When we had our reunion back in 21, and our 55th reunion's coming up next October. We're going back to Cape May. Here's a little program that we put together, and I asked Gabriella to send me a box of donation envelopes. Why not? Why not?
Right.
So everybody got one of these programs at their plate, and I stuck a donation envelope in there, and stick it in your pocket, write a check,
Right.
make a donation, Venmo, whatever.
And also the Donna Camardo is
Oh.
also doing her bit to
Yes.
raise money and the money goes right to some deserving student.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I just Venmoed her the other day. So, and I don't have kids of my own. I never got married, didn't have any children, so I don't have children of my own. I have nieces and nephews. I have a niece and 3 nephews. They're scattered all over, and their kids are scattered and doing well. So, I guess I have a little more financial leeway here to make donations, to send a dollar here and there, 25, 50, whatever, and make a contribution. I don't have grandkids that are stopping over saying, what are we going to eat? That type of thing, and that's what grandparents do. They spoil their grandkids. They spend a lot of money on their grandkids.
Tell me about it.
Well, I spend my money on St. Rose and Paul VI.
Yeah. You mentioned.
Would you like to adopt a couple grandchildren or?
That's okay. That's all right.
Okay.
I'll pass. And it was funny. I Dominicans. Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop over you. I wanted to go back to
That's
the
all right.
discussion
No.
about reunions. So, like I said earlier, this
Please.
all started because of our 50th reunion. Rich and I got together and became close friends. We really weren't friends in high school, but I hear the stories of what it took to pull together our reunion. What was your 2021 experience? Because that was right in the middle of COVID, and you're trying to pull off a reunion. How did that work out?
It was very difficult because we were supposed to have it the year before, 2020.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I thought I was going through my old paperwork and things like that, another thing that fell by the wayside because of COVID was we were invited back. The class of 1970 was invited back for the graduation of 2020.
Okay.
And we were supposed to march in that ceremony, in the graduation ceremony with that class. And so Paul VI was working on that whole thing. And I was kind of in on that. And graduation, I think, was canceled. It was canceled, or they handed it out to I think you drove by in a car and they handed it out. So that fell by the wayside too. But anyway, we had to postpone. We got in touch with the Grand down in Cape May, and of course everything was shut down, and they held our deposit and held everything, and we had to postpone it for a year. And that was and then there were a number of people who were even very concerned about coming in 2021. Sure. And but we pulled it off. Yeah, things got cleaned up and things changed, and we pulled it off, and we had I think we had a pretty good turnout. Pretty good turnout. A couple people came down with COVID and couldn't come. That was in 2021. Yeah.
I think we had 14 people that came down with COVID afterwards.
Boy. Yeah.
Jeez. And I didn't hear anything like that with us. I really didn't. There were a couple people who couldn't come because they got it ahead of time.
Yeah, Janice and I
didn't hear any outbreaks.
We got it 3 days later. We got home from the reunion, and I said to Jan, okay, let's start counting down. 3 days from now, we'll have COVID. And sure enough, we did. So you have a reunion coming up, right?
We do.
And who's on the reunion committee?
We have a huge reunion committee. 13 people. Might be 14. 13 or 14, yeah. We have one guy, and that's Tom Deeney. And I always say it's Jesus Christ and the 12 apostles.
No, I actually say it's Tom Deeney, member of the class of 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. He showed up at our reunion.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Heard that. Yeah. And we had John Tulane from the, well, you know, in the old days, not in the old days, but previous reunions, we would have it with the class of 69 because they were so small. So we would invite them to come along. But then lately they do their own reunion thing. But John Tulane attended. He was class of 69. And, you know, he went through 3 years with us, and he felt attached to a lot of the kids and a lot of the classmates and a lot of the programs. So he was able to come. And what was your original question? Oh, who's on the committee? Who's on the committee? Okay. Louise Rannenberger, Barikian, Louise, and Suzanne Pomacats, Jackie Hartman, Sue D'Antonio, Ann Caprioletti's a new member. She just came aboard. We have Judy Leary. We have Diane Medio. We have Lois Akuliak. We have Carol Ann Sclafani. I hope I got everybody.
That's a big crew.
Judy Leary. Trisha Heary. We have her. And yeah.
So the reunion is scheduled for when?
It's going to be the first weekend in October.
This year or 2025?
2025,
okay.
Yeah, so Merrill Ann Kelleher, she's another one. In fact, I was just bugging her on the phone. We have to get the save the date postcards out to everybody. So I'm the slave driver. Louise beats me up. I beat everybody else up. I cut everybody off when they're repeating themselves. And but we've got it down to a science now. You need a slave. You need a gatekeeper. You really do. A gendarme.
Gatekeeper. I like that term, gatekeeper. Yeah.
Georgianne, where will the reunion be?
It's going to be back at the Grand Hotel of Cape May.
Oh, okay.
And we just decided to not reinvent the wheel, and we'll be at the Grand in Cape May, first weekend in October. It'll be a Friday night. Friday night will be the hospitality room. Saturday will be the actual event, and then Sunday we have breakfast and everybody leaves. So it really went well. Everybody enjoyed themselves. And I'll tell you what, the actual event was good. The banquet was great, blah, blah, blah. But they really liked the hospitality room where you can just kind of hunker down and, speak to people, that you always wanted to talk to, et cetera, et cetera.
That sounds wonderful. Sounds great.
So it went well, and
How many?
Nice.
How many people from your class showed up last time?
We had about 110 or 115.
Okay.
Now, but that was everybody. So I think there was probably 90, maybe 90 classmates.
Okay.
Somewhere between 80 and 90 classmates that actually showed up. Yeah.
I think we had about 150 from our class.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, though. I give you credit.
Oh, and the Cape May thing really threw it into another whole realm. But like I said, now we kind of have it down to a science, and we can do it. This year we're thinking about hiring a photographer. I was the photographer last time, and I kind of enjoy doing that. And because sometimes when I go to the Dine and Donates, you'll see the pictures that I take. I send them to Donna, and Donna will post them. But we're thinking of maybe hiring a photographer rather than me going around, because I don't eat. I don't eat anything, or I eat a little bit and then I have to run because I see a good picture. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And do you have a list of where people are? Because I know Rich had a problem trying to find people, so you've got a spreadsheet of how to reach out to people.
Yes. Louise is our spreadsheet expert, and she tries to keep track of people, and if people change addresses and things like that. If we hear of it, we automatically somebody will contact me, or I'll contact Louise and say, I heard so-and-so moved. Here's the new address. Yeah, we try to stay in touch. Yeah.
And I believe this is the reason you had the School Spirit Award back in 1970.
I know. Isn't that weird? I know. I know. It was so weird.
I mean,
Yeah.
you were being nominated this year for the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
but you were christened back in 1970, school spirit, and thus, right?
No.
You had to continue that whole
I know. I
school
do.
spirit thing.
That's
That's
right.
great.
Yeah.
You
And it's
you
nice
kept that
because
alive.
I'm getting further and further away from Shawnee. Being involved at Shawnee. I'm still involved with Shawnee. I still see a lot of the retirees and go to sports events and things like that. But now that I'm back here in Haddon Heights, I find I'm gravitating more to St. Rose and especially to Paul Six. So that's good. It's funny how things change. It's a process. Blah blah blah. My journey
Yes. Journey.
is
So,
back here at home.
So
Yeah, my
Rich,
favorite word, journey.
journey. Did Mark Andrews teach at Shawnee? Refresh my memory.
He,
Yes,
You know
he
him?
was at. I know Mark. I know
Okay.
Mark, I listened to his podcast, and
Okay, great.
Mark was a guidance counselor at Shawnee. Yes, and
Okay.
then so I worked with him for a couple years, and then he transferred to Cherokee.
yeah,
Yeah, good guy,
Right,
very
right.
good guy.
yes,
Yeah.
he is. He is.
A great guy.
So, you mentioned memories in a text message to me of Paul VI High School. So, what are your favorite memories of PVI
Probably the dances.
on
And
Saturday night?
they were, I'm telling you, because when you look at the week, starting on Wednesday, all you did was sit in class and think about that dance that was coming up all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday. It's a miracle.
It was great.
A miracle that we learned anything. And then, of course, on the weekend you had the dance. Then it's all you thought about on Sunday. So probably you had two good teaching days. The poor teachers probably had Tuesdays and Wednesdays were probably the only decent days you could get any kind of information into
That's
your
funny.
students. So the
Yeah.
dances were a lot of fun. Cafeteria was a lot of fun. The teaching staff was very good. The nuns in particular they were outstanding. The nuns and the Filipini sisters, in particular, Sister Marion. She was a mentor of mine, just a wonderful, wonderful, lovely person. They all were. And the only day I ever cut school was on a field day of my senior year. Somebody got the bright idea to cut school. And so we cut school. Somebody had a car. We rode around. We didn't know where to go because there was always a stay-at-home mom somewhere.
Right.
It's not like you could go back to somebody's house and party.
Right.
We couldn't do that. So we thought we were very cool. Took off to the parking lot. Nobody saw us. Jumped in a car, rode around, and there was nowhere to go. So I think we came back to school. We might have gone to Genova's. And then I think we just came back to school. And then when I got home, I remember my mother saying to me, "Where were you today?" And it was because Sister Marion, she spotted me. She knew I was gone, and she called home.
Oh,
So,
really?
so I got
Oh,
caught.
God.
Yeah,
So you never did that again.
I got caught. No.
Back to
I can remember those dances on Saturday night with Mark Powell. Remember, he would be on stage all the time dancing.
He was a terrific dancer.
High Lit would call him up, and
Yep, and Gary Christie, he was another one. I think in art class, Gary Christie and Mark Powell. Yeah, terrific dancer. That's what he was known for.
we
that's how.
had Tommy McCarthy on for a podcast, and he was a protege of High Lit, so we got some interesting background on that. Tommy's a great guy, and he lives nearby where you guys are, and
Yeah.
a family
Okay.
friend of my wife, so it was nice reconnecting with him. But yeah, those
Oh, that's
dances,
nice.
those dances were amazing. You would hear about it on WIBG. They'd advertise it. 1,000 kids would show up to the Paul Six dance. It was
3,000 guys and gals for $3.
Unbelievable.
Or a buck.
Unbelievable.
yeah, whatever.
And
it
that's
was.
something, Mike Chapman and I would talk about is wouldn't it be neat if we could bring back the Paul Six dance as a fundraiser?
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And not only that, but one of my former students from Shawnee High School is Andre Gardner.
Oh,
Yeah, he was my student in my mass media class. In fact, I went out a couple weeks ago. He had a live remote from Piccalilli's on
I
206
saw that. Yeah.
in Chemung in Tabernacle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went out there to see him, and great guy.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I dream a dream. We could reenact the Paul Six dances, and Andre could be the disc jockey.
Yeah.
or Tommy McCarthy.
Or
Yeah.
Tommy McCarthy, yes.
I can see it now, really. We could use the gymnasium, the magic gymnasium, put sawdust on the floor, have the class of 69, 70, 71, 72 there. We'd have ambulances waiting outside.
And police cars.
Yes.
Police cars.
Yes, because we would get into a riot, I'm sure.
And lots of Ben Gay because everybody's going to pull a muscle.
We could hire an urgent care to be in like room 112 or something like that to take care of everybody.
That's funny.
Well, another memory is did you have demerit cards in your,
Oh,
Yeah, we had them.
you had
Yeah.
demerit cards? Yeah.
yeah.
That was
Bottle
always
Beglin.
fun. That was always a lot of fun,
Oh, yeah.
getting a demerit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and smoking in the bathrooms and all that. And
All that stuff, yeah.
In fact, they even hired for my year. They had a matron who would stand guard in the bathrooms to keep the girls from smoking.
Really?
Yep. He was a matron, and then I remember going in, and I caught her in one of the booths catching a smoke. So she was a smoker herself, who was trying to keep these girls from sneaking into the bathroom and smoking. And of course,
She was
I
smoking.
walked in on her trying to catch a smoke in one of the stalls, so she didn't get caught.
Funny. Too funny.
God.
So a couple
Memories.
of requests, Georgianne, before we wrap up. We got to get Mike Chapman on. All right. Maybe you can help us with that.
Yes, you
And
do.
we'd love to have
I
Andre
will help you
Gardner.
with that.
Love to have Andre Gardner come on. That would be fun. Be a great interview.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah. So if you can,
Okay, I'll
help us
see if
with
I
that?
can talk him into it too.
yeah, we'd love to do that.
Yeah, I almost got Mike here today, almost, but he didn't want to rain on my parade. He goes,
All
no,
right.
this is your interview. Rah, 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 rah." But I think it would have been a lot of fun.
Oh,
But
Mike's got an incredible history.
he's a
Love that.
wealth of information.
Yeah, and I think that'd be a
All right,
blast.
I'll see what I can do. I'll twist his arm.
All right.
Twist his arm for you.
Yeah,
I want to show
sure.
everybody my shirt. I
There you
have
go.
my Paul Six
All six.
Eagles shirt on. I wore this today.
I love
And
it.
there's our little 1970 alumni. I think we
great.
handed these out years ago to people who attended the reunion, and Paul Six has always been one of our reunions. I think 2 reunions ago, they had a wonderful, when Marianne Yeager was there. They had we came to the football game on Friday night, and then our reunion was the next day. I think it was over in one of those hotels on Route 73. Anyway, and they had a beautiful spread for us, and they had kids come back and gave us tours throughout the building. It was right after all the renovations and all the improvements were made, and it was just Paul Six has always been very gracious to our class.
Yeah.
Very nice, very
And with
gracious.
Gabriella there, she's
I can't say enough about Gabriella. She's wonderful. Gabriella is wonderful. I was sad when Marianne left, but Gabriella knocks it out of the ballpark. Mike Chambers knocks it out of the ballpark. I mean, they have just a wonderful staff over there. Wonderful. And
absolutely.
administration.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today and giving us your time and your perspective and cheering the All Sixth High School. Real pleasure having you here. And
Well, it was
we're gonna,
very nice to be invited.
Thank you. Yes.
Very nice. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.